Welcome back to Winning the Game of Life. I'm your host Shawn Chhabra. Today I'm having a very special good morning because I have a special featured guest. His name is Nainan, and his story is going to inspire all of us because he had the courage to pursue his passion by changing his very successful IT career to become a stand-up comedian. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Welcome. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, how about you start with little background so that my listeners and viewers and we all know where you came and what you are all about?
Okay. Well, let's see. I'm of Indian and Japanese origin. My name is Dan Nainan, by the way, Nainan. And I was an engineer with Intel, a senior engineer, and it was my job to travel the world with the senior executives of Intel and do technical demonstrations on stage. Now, designing the technical demonstrations in the lab was very easy for me, I guess because I'm Indian and Japanese. But the tough part was speaking on stage at these events all over the world in front of thousands of people, sometimes millions on television. And I had to do something to get over the fear of speaking. So first I went to Toastmasters. That was great, but it was just myself and 11 other nerds in a room talking to each other. I decided I had to do something even more terrifying. I decided to take a comedy class, and that's where I discovered that I had, I guess, an affinity for doing comedy. My third show ever, I was in front of 2,500 Intel employees doing impressions of the CEO at 8 o'clock on a Monday morning, and it went really well. And a lot of people who didn't know me came up and said, hey, you're not really an Intel employee. You were hired to pretend you're an Intel employee, but you're really a professional comedian. And that's when I thought I could maybe do this for a living. Since leaving Intel, I've done over 1,200 shows in now 27 countries. I performed for President Obama, Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, and my all-time favorite, Steve Wozniak. And I travel the world. I just got back from 31 days in 12 countries, 43,000 miles, and I'm suffering from horrible jet lag.
You have so much passion, that's why even after that jet lag, you are up early morning today for this interview.
Well, I've been getting up. I normally get up at about 6:30 in the morning at the very latest. So my sleep has been crazy over the last week, but I think I'm just getting back to normal in the next day or so.
Thank you for coming to my show, though I'm really honored you are here.
Likewise, I know I've read we've talked, and you're a very successful author, and you yourself have made a pivot, and I'm just really impressed with what you've done, and it's wonderful to meet other people who've pursued their passion and become successful.
I'm trying. It's like the biggest thing is, it's not about me, but the thing is, everybody say, what's your passion? Passion is not a thing. It's not like you're sitting in a box and you pull out of your box and show, oh, here's my passion. Well, maybe 10 years back, it was different passion I was pursuing, you are pursuing, everybody's pursuing. And now we are evolving. So today my passion is this, what I'm doing right now. I'm sharing and bringing good stories, and I'm enjoying it.
I think it's important to do what you enjoy. I met a very nice gentleman you may have heard of named Robin Sharma. He was, I think, a lawyer, and he was making good money, but he wasn't very fulfilled. And he wrote a book called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, and he self-published it. And it got a lot of traction, and then finally he got picked by a real publisher, and now he's, just a world-renowned author, speaker, and you can just tell every single day, every minute, every hour, he lives with passion, and that's the way to be.
Whatever we talked so far, I think you may have told this part of the story to millions of places. But really, for my listeners and viewers, I really want to take you back to maybe a little farther, maybe your childhood. Do you mind sharing from your Indian, Japanese places? Are you born in India, Japan, or America, or so that we really know who you are?
No. People always ask, well, wait, your dad's from India, your mom is from Japan. Where do they meet? And I tell them, Indiana, duh. They met in Bloomington, Indiana. My father was going to school for his PhD in nuclear physics. My mother was getting her bachelor's in early childhood development. Um, I like to joke that she probably failed at that with me. But no, I was born in Bloomington, Indiana, actually, in the middle of America.
So, how was your childhood?
Well, my parents were and are fantastic. My problem, though, stemmed from problems with my peers, and I was very brutally bullied and an outcast, and just had no friends, and it was a very tough childhood, and at times it was difficult to keep going, but the thing is, I survived, and I think if you have a choice between a terrible childhood and a great adulthood, or a great childhood and a terrible adulthood, I would choose a terrible childhood and a great adulthood. Of course, it would be best if you had a great childhood and a great adulthood, but I was not fortunate enough to have that.
So during your like a school years or college time, you never that did some comedy or anything. You are not into that at all. You never discovered that talent at that time.
No, and that's one regret I have is I kind of wish I had done this earlier in life, like in college or whatever. I mean, I majored in business and computers instead of. It would have been nice to do acting and maybe comedy and music or something, but you can never go back. And so I would do these voices. I would call up places and use these fake voices and accents, and I would do accents for my parents, and my father said, you should get into acting or something. So I really didn't do a lot of this when I was younger. I wish I had, but I guess I was sort of preparing myself by doing these voices and jokes and so on when I was a kid.
So Dan, I see like you kind of discovered your passion by accident,
Yes.
but there may be some people who are having so-called successful career today, and they are wondering, they already know they don't like that job, they're just doing it just to pay the bills, but at the
Yes.
same time, all the time in back of their head they're thinking of doing something else.
Yes.
So how should they like take that step, or what they should do? What do you advise to them?
This is a very common thing I see in many people. I have a friend of a friend who's a lawyer in Los Angeles, and I don't want to say his name or who he works with, but he works with the top stars and directors and makes a ton of money. And I think he was drinking too much one night. He was just crying on my shoulder and saying he just hates his job. He hates getting up in the morning. He hates going. And I'm like, man, you're one of the most successful people in the world, and he could quit his job and do anything. So I think a lot of people want to do something else, but they're afraid. And I think some people think it has to be either or. You have to do one or the other. But I think what you can do is you can do your job during the day, the 9 to 5 job, and then pursue your passion on the evenings and weekends. Now, a lot of people say, well, they don't have time to pursue their passion, what they really want to do. Like someone wants to be a movie director or a comedian or a musician or a dancer or a playwright or something, or a poet. And I say to them, there is time. There's plenty of time, because most people say they don't have enough time, and yet the average American watches more than 32 hours of television a week. 32 hours, that's like another job. And most Americans feel sort of a peer pressure to go out on Friday nights and get drunk, and then go out on Saturday nights and get drunk, because that's what everyone else is doing. I mean, I live in New York City. On the weekends, I hear these people in the street screaming and drunk and partying, and it's not often that I'm home on weekends. But when I'm home on weekends, once in a while, I'm working, and I hear these people just drunk in the street, and 32 hours a week of TV, and then if you go out on Friday and get drunk, it's Friday night is shot, Saturday is shot because you're hungover, then you go out Saturday night, rinse and repeat, and then you're hungover on Sunday. So between the drinking and the hangovers and the television, I guarantee you I can find you 80 hours a week for you to pursue what you really want to do. So I think that if you are really serious and you really, really want to do it, there's time to pursue your passion.
Well, in place of getting high, just watching TV or drinking in the bars, you can really get high pursuing your passion.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, I have a friend who wrote a book. I happen to have it right here. It's called 100 Ways to Motivate Yourself by Steve Chandler. Now, I'll tell you that it's very rare that I actually buy books because for environmental reasons and to save money, I get them from the library. But this is a very rare book for me because you'll see, I've highlighted in here. And I never buy books and I never highlight them. But in this book, one of the things he says is, kill your television, because when you're watching television, you're watching other people do what they love doing and making millions of dollars. And he goes, what side of the glass do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the side of the people who are having fun, making money, getting paid, living their dreams? Or do you want to be on the other side, the hundreds of millions or billions of people who are just sitting and passively watching? And that's so true. And he said that Groucho Marx said, I learned so much from television because every time somebody turns one on, I go in the next room and I read a book. And I don't watch any television at all. I used to watch football, and I thought this is a waste of time because I'm watching these millionaires, and I'll occasionally watch just the highlights, which is maybe a few minutes on Sunday night. But, my friend is so right. Steve Chandler in this book, because it's a waste of time to watch TV, I think. Now, on the other hand, if you love your job, if you love your life, if you love what you're doing and you don't want anything more, then when you come home from work, then you can cut the television on and watch as much as you want. But when I see somebody watching a lot of television, I think that person is probably happy with things the way they are. They don't want to change anything. Maybe it's better that way. I don't know.
No, maybe they're just trying to they just want to mentally get lost, and they're looking for satisfaction from that TV. That simply means you're thinking like they are very satisfied in their life and they're just enjoying TV. No, they're very dissatisfied. That's why they're trying to get that satisfaction from the TV, because other people are putting garbage in your head. Yeah. And there's no physical or mental activity. Your brain is not even thinking right. It's doing nothing. It's really just your eyes are looking at the garbage, and it's just feeding trash to your brain. That's what it
exactly is. They've done these studies, and they found that when you're watching television, it puts your brain into a beta state where you're actually consuming fewer calories than if you were doing nothing. And how is that possible? Because if you were sitting there without the television, your brain would actually be thinking about something, and you'd be using more calories. So the television, I think, it just really is, you're right, it's just harmful. And I think Americans are so much into escape, getting drunk and getting stoned and getting high, and these prescription drugs that put your mind into a different state. I think in America, it's so much about escape, and you can only escape for so long, and then you have to come back down to reality. And I think TV and drugs and prescription drugs, I think they all kind of go hand in hand. And I think it's better to live a life without those things, which is what I do.
Because on the other hand, like all those big companies, media, TV, drug, banking, all those people are, I don't want to use the word gangsters, but really they are no different than a mafia. They are the one who creating those environments and giving people false sense of hope and satisfaction by feeding this garbage.
Right, and we have the choice. I mean, it's a free country, so we have a choice not to consume these things. We don't have to take these prescription drugs. We don't have to watch television. But I think the large majority of people fall victim to this, and it's really sad.
So where should they start? How you recommend let us say somebody is watching, you said average 32 hours a week. So some people are watching like 10 hours and some are watching like literally 60 hours. Then only it could be 32 average. So let us say an average person who is watching, let us say 20 hours a week. from your personal experiences, what do you recommend how they can try to change?
I think it's very difficult to change and just overnight shut it off and not watch anymore. I think the way to affect any kind of change is to do it gradually. I mean, I have a goal to bench press 315 pounds. I recently did 255. I can't bench 315 tomorrow, but if I bench one more pound a week, then by the end of the year I could do 315. So I think maybe you might want to say, okay, this week I'm going to watch 20 hours, and next week I'll watch 19 hours, and slowly cut it down. But at the same time, I think you need to find something to pursue as a passion. I would say go out and take some classes, join Meetup and meet some people, play the guitar, play the violin, walk, exercise. Just do a little bit less television per week, and you can't make a drastic change. But I think and again, if you have some sort of hobby or passion you're trying to pursue, like poetry or again making movies or comedy or music, and by all means start working on that. Write a book. I have a piece of fantastic software called Scrivener, and I was struggling with trying to write a book until I got this software. It just makes it so easy, and it's free to try out for 30 days. So start writing the book. So many people say they want to write a book, but very few people actually do it. You've been successful at that. If I have, other people can as well.
So are you writing a book about your life, or what is that?
I am. I already have one book out called the best book of how to become a stand-up comedian, and it's doing pretty well. I sell it at my shows. That's where the biggest revenue comes from. And this is also this also speaks to doing everything yourself on the internet. If you publish a book through a publisher, you might get 50 cents or $1 for every book that's sold, but then they have the machine behind it. If you publish it yourself, I mean, I get my books for $2.50, and I sell them at my shows for between $10 and $20. So, and the same with my CDs and DVDs. So, I think, I mean, I do have one book, but this next book is really going to be about my life, and there's going to be some surprises in the book, some stuff that no one knows about me that is going to be. I think it's movie worthy, actually.
Nice. I'm enjoying it. So the thing is, like, see, I never thought, like, because you are an actor, you are a comedian, and you do live shows, but eventually your shows are on the TV or other online medias and everywhere. I thought you will be telling people, hey, make sure you watch TV all day. So see, even though you sell content, you are in media business, you are a TV personality, you are a movie material, and you are still telling people, hey guys, go and live a life.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, now I'm not a TV personality yet. I mean, I've been on television and I've been in movies, but small stuff. And I always said that I'd love to be the first person on TV who doesn't watch television. And I was in an Apple commercial, and that was shown all over every TV show, but I didn't get to see myself on television. I can see it online, but everyone told me they saw it on the NFL games and Letterman, and I didn't see my commercial on TV. That would have been nice. But I think I've met a lot of people who are well-known actors on television, and they say they also don't have time for television. If you remember William Shatner from the original Star Trek series, he said something which really struck me. He said, when I was your age, I didn't watch television, I lived. And I think I've met a number of people who say that they just don't have time. Madonna said so. I haven't met her, but she said she just doesn't have time to watch television. And I think you'll find that very common amongst people who are on television a lot. So I think, I mean, it may be hypocritical to say I want to be on television but not watching it myself. But people always say, you have to watch TV in order to be successful in show business. And I think it's people who are not in show business who say that. I don't think that's true. I don't agree with that.
So at what time you were like working with Apple?
Oh, no, I never worked for Apple, but I did a commercial for them in 2009, where, if you remember, commercials they did about 200 with the guys, Mac and PC. Like, I'm a Mac, I'm a PC. Hello, I'm a Mac. Hello, I'm a PC. And I was in one of those. And we shot that in 2009. And that was an amazing day because most commercials take at least one day to shoot. And they shoot 4 of these a day with that white background of those 2 guys. And, you know, we shot for the day. And you get paid to do the day shoot. But then if the ad gets put on television, then you start to get money every time it shows. You get residual checks that start coming week after week. Your agent calls and says, I have more checks for you. I have more checks for you. Now, in that particular set, Steve Jobs was himself deciding what commercials made it on the television. And I didn't think my commercial was that funny, to be honest with you. I didn't think it would be accepted. But I remember I was lying by the pool in Chennai about to do a show that evening, and I got an email from my sister, and it said, I just saw your commercial on the NFL opener. And it's like, oh my goodness, Steve Jobs accepted my commercial. And it was shown everywhere. That's another thing. It's possible for a regular looking guy to do commercials now. And there's some commercials. I have friends who've made $100,000 for doing one day of shooting on a commercial because of the residuals. There's a tremendous amount of money in voiceover, television, movies, and of course there's a huge demand now for just every man and every woman. You don't have to look like Ken and Barbie and blonde hair and blue eyes like in the old days. They're looking for ordinary, average, everyday people to be in commercials and on television. In fact, after this interview, I have to go to do a audition for a bank after we finish here. So there's a tremendous amount of opportunity in this.
Dan, when I'm listening to these commercials and all that, this is very inspiring. Actually, anybody average like me and you, well, you are not average, but I'm average, and a lot of my listeners and viewers are average.
No, we're both average.
So when they are listening this conversation, some of those maybe having little excitement and maybe thinking, well, wow, I can try to be in commercials. Where should they start if they never... Before this, they never even thought of doing it, but today is the day they woke up, wow, let me try.
You know, I think the biggest barrier is people think I'm not good looking enough, and I thought this myself. I'm not good looking enough to do print modeling. I'm not good looking enough to do commercials or television, but that's not true anymore. I mean, you know, I have 3 print agents in New York, and I'm an average looking guy. The thing is, things have changed. There's a tremendous push for diversity, and there'll always be room for those people who are exceptionally good-looking model types. There'll always be room for that. But if you walk down the street and you look in, say, in the window in the bank, you'll see pictures of people of all ages and shapes and sizes and races, most importantly. It's all about diversity now, and or if you look at an ad for Target or something, I mean, I could probably pick up, I mean, this is just by random. I have a newspaper here, and I could probably find an ad, and, okay, here's a Chanel ad. This is an average model-looking thing, but, okay, here's an ad for Tata, ironically, an Indian company. Now, here's this guy running, okay? Yeah. This guy probably got between $3,000 and $5,000 for that ad. He has an agent, and he's probably been to a few hundred auditions, and he succeeded, and he got this ad, and they say, okay, come and shoot with us for one day, and you get $3,000 to $5,000. Here's another one. This gentleman this is a Medicare commercial, or I guess Liberty, like an insurance, so they needed this guy. He's sort of like an actor-looking guy. But I guess the point I'm making is that, you know, they're looking for ordinary, average, everyday-looking people to be in commercials, to be in print ads, and the money is just incredible. It's so funny. I'm looking for ads now, and I can't find any. And when you don't want to find them, they're everywhere. but you know, like Target or Bank of America, just walk down the street and you'll see. Just you know, people, just ordinary, average, everyday looking people like you and me who are making tons of money being in these ads. It's incredible.
So they are succeeding because they have good agents. Because if companies are looking for average looking models, they, I thought they will be dime a dozen, and you are saying they are making money. So did I miss something?
Yeah, I mean, half the barrier is just believing you can do it.
Okay.
I mean, all you have to do is look at commercials these days, and you'll see like the short, fat, bald guy. And there's for every guy like that, there's probably a lot of short, fat, bald guys who said, "Oh, I could never be a commercial. I could never do commercials. I don't have the right look." But that's not true. I mean, it just the opportunity is unlimited. It's unlimited. So it doesn't matter what you look like. They're looking for all types of people. And right now I'm seeing all these movie ads, so that's not exactly what I'm talking about. But just open up any paper, walk down the street, look in magazines, and you'll see just average everyday looking people in these ads.
So how these average people find the agent?
Well, Google. The best thing is, I mean, you kind of have to be. I mean, you're going to have the largest number of agents in New York and Los Angeles, and that's a given. I mean, there's 50, 100, maybe 200 commercial and print agents in New York and in Los Angeles. They do have them in other cities as well, Miami, San Francisco. I think it's kind of scaled with how large the population is. But all you have to do is just look online and say, okay, commercial agents in Houston or wherever you are, and you'll probably be able to find one. But by and large, the largest concentration is in New York or Los Angeles. So it's interesting because there's a lot of people who just don't want to make the move to New York or Los Angeles, and I mean you can be a lot more successful if you're in one of these two cities. But yeah, I mean the opportunity is amazing out there, just incredible.
Okay, very good. So let us switch the gears, and like I want to see where are you taking your this comedy career now? What's next? How far you are trying to pursue, and where are you trying to take?
Well, I've done, as I mentioned earlier, 1,200 shows. I just did my 26th and 27th countries, Oman and Copenhagen, Denmark, and Brussels. And, I don't know, I'm extremely happy doing what I'm doing. And if I did nothing else for the rest of my life, that would be fine. But at the same time, as comedians, we're always striving to get to the next level. I mean, it would be wonderful to be at Russell Peters' level, who's making $30-40 million a year and selling out arenas. The best way to get more exposure as a comedian is to get on television. So at this very moment, I'm trying to pursue more acting, and I was just on a show called Family Guy. I did a voice on Family Guy, and my character was Angry Indian Man #1. But ultimately, I'm trying to pursue my own sitcom and my own reality show, and that takes a little bit of doing. You've got to write scripts and you've got to get a sizzle reel together. But I'm slowly trying to get that together, because once you're on television, then of course the sky is a limit, and of course doing movies as well.
Did you ever consider podcasting like me and inviting all kind of like a new comedians and giving them the opportunity to be with you, just like you and me are together right now?
I would love to do a podcast. I've one thing I've realized, I hired an assistant, and I realized that I just really have to delegate some of this stuff because you just can't do it yourself. I'm also looking at using, say, Elance and Fiverr and some of these places where you can hire people to do this work for you. Robin Sharma told me that you're really not going to become successful unless you hire people and you delegate your work. He has a team of, I think, 9 people, and I think you just have to delegate, and you cannot do everything yourself. There just isn't time. I mean, I'm waking up at 6 and working straight through till midnight every single day, and it's not like stressful, because it's a labor of love. I enjoy it, but I think the key is to hire other people to help you to do your work, and I've just started to do that. I think that's really important.
Yeah, that way you can live your life efficiently, and that's what I tell people. Hey, you want to live 100 year every year? Outsource 90% of your work, so you are already living 100 year every year.
Agreed. I mean, and with the fact that you have people in the Philippines and India that you can hire for $2 an hour, anything at all that doesn't require you yourself to do, like emailing or whatever. Uh, I've done some of this hiring people, overseas, and I mean, it's just there's a book called The 4 Hour Work Week, which I have on my shelf here, which is or I may have lent it to some people, but the 4 Hour Work Week was sort of like the uh, big kind of epiphany that showed you how you can hire other people in other countries to help you with your work. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean Tim Ferriss is amazing,
It's unbelievable. I think there was an evolution. There was a book called The World is Flat by Thomas L. Friedman,
Yes, yes.
and he talked about how you have this computing power in other countries. And Tim Ferriss took this and made this more of a micro level and showed how you can take advantage of this yourself. And it was just the right book at the right time. Just genius.
Yeah, because Tim Ferriss was able to show to average person and small businesses, and like even a solopreneur like you are a business in itself. So how you can like take advantage of that available manpower. Whatever earlier only the big companies were outsourcing and taking advantage of that. So once Tim Ferriss showed that, in his book, I think he runs like a supplemental herbal supplement or that kind of business, and he outsources everything, and he demonstrates how he's able to run the business and be anywhere and everywhere, and he's not available, but things are just working by itself.
It's incredible. I mean, he says that he earns his dollars in US dollars, and he pays out in rupees to people in India to do the work, and then he spends his money in Argentine pesos because he spends a lot of time in Buenos Aires. I mean, it's like a machine, just a well-oiled machine, going in a circle. It's fantastic.
Okay, so we are very close to end of the show. Is there any special advice you may wanna give to motivate my listeners and viewers so that they come out of their fear and take some action and do something in their life?
I would say this is that I think the chances of somebody doing, I think the chances of a given person immediately finding what they're meant to do in life is small. You may be doing A, but you're meant to do B. And, so many of us, I think to be socially acceptable or to satisfy our parents, we go for doctor, lawyer, accountant, etc. I mean, these jobs make money, but I don't know if they're really our true passion. And so to find our true passion, I think it's great to take some of that time that you would spend watching television and getting drunk, and maybe go out and pursue some things. Take some guitar lessons, take some painting lessons, take some writing lessons. I mean, there's millions of classes. I mean, in any big city, there are classes you can take. You can join meetup.com and meet people with similar interests for anything, languages, arts, whatever, even eating out. And there's courses online. I mean, I think MIT has put their entire course catalog online for free. There's online learning. There's places like I'm a member of a site where you can hire people by the hour and get advice from them if you want to be a helicopter pilot or a chef or something. It's called pivotplanet.com. You can hire me. So I think we may know that we're doing job A, and people may know, yes, I definitely know I want to be a painter. I definitely know I want to be an author or a comedian. If that's the case, then pursue it to its fullest in the evenings and weekends when other people are drinking and watching TV. And if you don't know what your passion is, I would say try different things. There's a fantastic book called Moonwalking with Einstein by Joshua Foer, and it's all about memory and remembering things. And he studied the best memory champions, like people who could memorize a whole deck of cards or 1,000 numbers. And he went on he said, wait a minute, I can do this. And he entered the U.S. Memory Championships, and he actually won. And one of his quotes that really struck me is he said that, if every day is the same, then time starts to pass a lot faster. And only by having a variety of experiences and having different days can time slow down, and you can really enjoy life. And I really have taken that to heart. So I've taken trapeze classes. I've done, a lot of voice lessons, music, languages. I think get out there and do different things, and get out from behind the television, and do different things that challenge your brain. And that'll also forestall dementia as well. I think it's really sad when I go to these senior citizens' homes, these people who were watching 30 to 40 hours a week, now it's like all day long. They spend watching TV, these old folks, all day, from the time they get up till the time they go to sleep. It's just sitting in front of the TV. I think it's really sad, and I think we can prevent that.
Okay, when I'm listening to you, some question came in my head. Maybe I should ask you now. What if some of my listeners and viewers want to become comedian? Do you coach?
I don't really have the time to coach. You can go to Pivot Planet and get my advice, but I use an amazing teacher that I've been going to for 12 years in New York, and it's called the American Comedy Institute at comedyinstitute.com. His name is Steve Rosenfield. He's amazing. He's written a lot of my material, and unfortunately the cheap bastard doesn't give me a dime if I refer people, so it doesn't help to use my name, although you can if you want, but I don't get anything, unfortunately. And so I highly recommend him, and he can work with you on the phone, but he has a 3-week class in New York. But if you're from out of town, you can come and take the 1-week version, and you'll actually perform live at a comedy club, Gotham, which is one of the nicest clubs in the city. And there are people who come from all over the world to take the 1-week class. So I would highly recommend Steve Rosenfield at the American Comedy Institute if anyone is thinking about it. And, I think with comedy, a lot of people think it's a natural talent, but it's maybe 5% talent and 95% hard work. I don't think I could be a quarterback in the NFL or a basketball player, but when it comes to comedy, I think it's something a lot of different people can do, and just about getting up over and over and over again. So I think people, if they think they might be good at it, they should try it.
Oh, because it's a skill, so they can just keep developing and grow.
Yep, it's like anything else. You have to do it over and over and over again. How many shows I've just utterly bombed and just got no laughs at all. It's funny because when I have a great show, I think, man, I feel on top of the world. This is awesome. And when I have a bad show, I think maybe I should get a job.
Dan, I have a kind of weird question for you, but I must ask. I'm sure every show you do is not a hit, and there may be, I'm sure, some shows like nobody's laughing and you're inside it's killing you inside. So don't you feel like quitting at some point? How do you come over that?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, here's the thing. You're always going to have bad shows, and every comedian, Louis C.K. or Chris Rock or Jerry Seinfeld, has had bad shows along the way. And here's the thing. If you have a bad show in the beginning, like maybe your third or fourth show, then you might want to quit, and many people do. But if you've done 1,000 shows, then you'll realize, okay, 5% of my shows are not going to go well, 2%, whatever it is, 8%. So the key is to recognize that it's not necessarily your fault, and it's just to pick yourself up and do it again, because you'll have a great show. The next show will be great. I just did 12 shows in 7 countries in 31 days, and they all went well except for one. But I know that that's just natural. It's just mathematics. I know people who've done 2 or 3 great shows. Their first 3 shows were fantastic, and then the 4th show they bombed, and then they stopped doing comedy and they never did it again. And that's very sad. It's because they didn't have the experience. They didn't realize that this happens to every comedian. So I think part of the experience is knowing that this is natural, and you just pick yourself up and you just have a great show the next show, and that makes you feel good again.
Okay, very good. That's very inspiring. So Dan, unfortunately, we are close to the end of the show. So how people can connect with you?
Well, my website is comediandan.com, comedian Dan. Twitter is comedian Dan. Email is comediandan@gmail.com. Everything is basically comedian Dan. And my website, you'll see that I make myself very available, very accessible. My phone number is there. My cell phone number is there. So I'm very reachable. I give people advice all the time. So please check out my site. And of course, I'm on YouTube as well under my name, Dan Nainan, Nainan.
Very good. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming to the show. And thanks for watching and listening. Have a nice day. Bye. See you in the next episode.
Thank you, very kind. I really appreciate you allowing me the opportunity to be here. I really appreciate it.
Do not throw that old phone away. Your trash may be hidden gold. We want your old device and will pay top dollar for it. Our process is as easy as 1, 2, 3. We offer no obligation sales. If you have a problem with the price that we gave you, we will return the device to you at no charge. Fast payment, free shipping, free data wipe, risk-free transaction. Buybackqueen.com.